Something interesting is emerging inside the Call of Duty community. In the past, when a new Warzone is released, one part of the community enjoys the changes and the other part doesn't. The disgruntled side typically blames the developers for making changes to what they once enjoyed and scrutinize various elements that frustrate them. This time, there's a new Warzone, but it's a place we've been before. Gameplay has become slower, TTK has become faster, and loot's become scarcer. However, with these changes, the disgruntled side of the community isn't pointing fingers at developers, but at each other. For now, the developers seem to be in the community's good grace after making sweeping changes to revert the game back to its original form. The developers seem keen to honor the community's input in hopes of rekindling nostalgic fondness for the game. I think the COD community senses that, causing a tug of war between two emerging sides, with the developers balanced dangerously in the middle. These two warring sides represent different schools of thought formed over 5 years of playing Warzone. On one side, you have players who enjoyed a more traditional battle royale experience, favoring a sandbox environment. On the other side, you have players who have adapted to gameplay overhauls that favor a more competitive environment. They're now having to get used to a much slower Warzone, and some don't like that. These frustrated players are calling for changes to increase the pacing, such as redeploy balloons, causing the traditional sandbox enthusiasts to push back, urging developers not to make any drastic changes. So far, the developers' efforts have been mostly praised, but as two sides begin asking for very different things, it's just a matter of time before a decision causes another mass exodus of players from the game. Community voices like the Tactical Brit are already suggesting solutions to this diversity of wants. He proposes designating many of the competitive characteristics, such as longer TTK and faster pacing, to ranked play, allowing regular BR to remain a sandbox battle royale experience. I think this is an interesting idea because after its initial release, ranked didn't interest me. It seemed nearly identical to regular BR, aside from a progression system that created an artificial sense of accomplishment. Delegating competitive characteristics to a specific playlist would drive a greater wedge between regular and ranked BR and potentially make each more compelling. The developers have already begun to do this through the inclusion of a casual BR mode. This has become a popular offering for players who find themselves fatigued from skill-based matchmaking or unwilling to weather regular BR. But we're not only getting new ideas from the community, we're also getting new sentiments, namely a willingness to compromise, hinting that perhaps the Warzone player base is maturing. Competitive players like TP, who worry they'll grow bored of the current slower pacing, recognizes nostalgic value for returning players and is willing to compromise his preferences in favor of greater community satisfaction. This is important because for the longest time, community voices have complained or called for changes without accounting for the wider player base with its diverse wants. This results in what I've called the COD dilemma, in which the franchise is unable to please everyone at once because it's grown too large over its 20 years. TP, like many other streamers, recognizes it's necessary Warzone keeps people playing the game, and he seems willing to sacrifice redeploy balloons or faster pacing to do so, challenging himself to have 30% more patience during this adjustment period. I too have had to change my approach to Warzone with Verdansk. Sitting somewhere between traditional battle royale purists and competitive sweats, I see the merit to both sides. I have weathered the changes of Warzone's 5 years, and aside from necessary growing pains, I've enjoyed these changes. With Verdansk, the most challenging adaptation has been remembering how to become a student again. I play my best when I shed any sense of entitlement and retain a willingness to learn while admitting my own deficiencies. But when returning to a map I've already spent dozens of hours playing, it feels like I should be an expert. However, players are better than they were in 2020, and I've had to swallow my pride, slow my pacing, and drill down on the fundamentals. Centering and pre-aiming have become essential, and I find that the current game isn't conducive to hopping on for a quick buzz. Rather, it requires setting aside time to play through a slew of matches and find one really good, satisfying game I'm proud of. So is the game good or bad? I think change is good, adaptation is good, and I'm pleased that change this time around means familiarity for returning players, satisfying many voices that would otherwise be frustrated. I think most importantly, Verdansk proves that developers really do listen, and this iteration feels like the result from balancing 5 years of experimentation, taking aspects of traditional battle royale while not slowing down the pacing to Warzone 2's level, retaining fluid mechanics while removing the frenzied chaos of redeploy balloons. I think Verdansk has been executed better than expected, created more excitement than expected, and been a positive return to form. That being said, like most remasters, I worry that in a month's time, people will be fatigued of a map they played before, and that the next Warzone apocalypse may be just around the corner. But for now, I am thoroughly enjoying Verdansk, and I hope you are too. If you want to hear more about the shifts in Call of Duty's community culture, you can check out this video here. As always, I hope that gamers stay present, stay positive. This is Allmanknax. Until next time.